I'm at 2825 Deerfield Drive in Villa Hills, Kentucky, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, basically anything that would be concerning to the buyer. The access is this floor clean out here. I don't know if you can kind of see. There's the door coming in from the garage through there into some unfinished area back here in the front of the house. So if you were coming from the rest of the downstairs, you would come through past the bathroom and turn left, or if you were coming through there straight from the garage, you come through here next to the, kind of in front of the hot water heater, if you're going towards the street, facing the street. So we're going to go both directions in this. We're going to go upstream first. We're going to go as far upstream as possible. Looks like it drops off right here. So going upstream, sometimes the camera, it gets more stuff on the front of it, because we're going against the stream. This looks like we have already reached the end of the line. So the hard thing about this is that I can't direct the camera up the different legs. So like if you want to go right or left to go into the laundry line or or possibly the downstairs bathroom, it makes it tough because I can't, you can't force the camera to turn up those branches. And since there's no other access, what we're going to do is I'm going to try to run some water, a couple of these, and just see, make sure which one comes in. It'll also rinse off the camera head. So, the bathroom faucet is on. That's the basement bathroom faucet. We're going to try to see where that comes out. It should be coming out pretty close to where I was. Try to get some of that goo off the camera here. It'll be pretty close, but I'm also going to, I think it would come in like right here. Okay, you can see it coming out of the right branch there. There's the bathroom. But of course, like I said, sometimes you get lucky and it goes, but it just keeps going up into that little floor drain area. That's why all that goo is there. Sometimes you can get lucky, but no, it's not one of goes forcing it to go straight. And so, at the bottom of this, there's also a line coming in from the left, which is the, I'm going to turn that water off. I'm going to turn the water on in the laundry room. Okay, now it should be coming in from the left. The water should quit coming in from the right, but since we still have a little bit of ooze on the front here, try to get that cleared off a little bit. But probably going to have to come down here, let that run down the hill a little bit to rinse that off. There we go. And that should be coming in from the left. It's not. looks like it's coming straight in, and that's why something that you'll notice about these is that spot there might be it's probably a backflow preventer or a plug, right? Yeah, it's coming in from above, but at any rate, it is coming in from there, and so that must mean that the left side is actually the floor drain. So, good news is there's not much pipe upstream of this clean out, but the line looked great. I was just trying to get an idea of the layout there. So now we are going downstream or out towards the main. You can see now that the water's at our back. The line should be PVC all the way out based off the age of the home, but it's also in an era where if the neighborhood was started early enough, it could also have clay lines on the exterior. Try to make sure we get all this off. A layer of like mold or whatever that is laying on the side is normal. For some reason it's a lot more normal in PVC than it is any other material. You don't see this a whole lot in the old clay lines or concrete. Trying to make sure that the camera's nice and clean. So far, the line looks great. Here's what looks like an outside clean out. I didn't see anything out there, but there could be one. A lot of times they'll have that connection and most of them are covered over. It looks like it was really near, based off the footage. This may have been where they stubbed out, where the developer, they ran their pipe up to that point, and then the builder hooked on right at that point. That's where we came downhill and went straight into where I was talking about the developer side. That's where we run into this green PVC. The white stuff is Schedule 40 and the green stuff is SDR 35. Those are two different rating systems. They're about the same pipe thickness and everything, but for some reason I still don't know why they have those two different rating systems. I assume it's for interior and exterior, but you can see right there at the bottom of the turn, get that water running. It's just kind of building up a little bit right there before it continues on down the line. I'm pushing stuff along. Those little chunks of white, that's grease. So it's pretty normal to find this stuff. You get a bunch of it down your line when you do you know, just doing dishes and stuff. You don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be from dumping grease down the drain. You know, doing dishes in a dishwasher, all that stuff gets rinsed off and grease goes down. Also, liquid fabric softener also congeals like that, and has like a grease in it, a film. It builds up like that. I do know that the main is across the street, and there's the high end, so I believe if you're facing the house, the line comes out, goes to the right and crosses the street, crosses the driveway, I believe, and probably comes in pretty close to the manhole, if not into the manhole. High end meaning it is the beginning of the sewer line, and since it's all gravity, they call it the high end because it's the highest point, and then gravity takes the line, takes the water the rest of the way. Sometimes you'll have stuff like this where you have a little bit of water, you may end up having to put a little standoff on this to see above the, when I stop pushing. So all it takes is a little bit of toilet paper sometimes to create just enough of a dam to back the water up above the camera lens. That camera lens is only about a ½ an inch off the bottom of the pipe, and so you can see where I was out of it. I'm trying to push some of that stuff on down the line. And here we are. We are in the main. We've made it all the way out, so it's about 105 feet out to the main. So hopefully, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that water off, let it drain down for a minute, and hope that we're able to see just a little bit better. Hopefully I pushed out enough of that debris where we're not underwater, or else I'll have to just make a second pass with a little standoff on the camera to lift it up a hair. Okay, it's still draining a little bit. We're going to go ahead and we'll start pulling back. You can see the big difference. The water at this point was above the camera lens. And so hopefully we can just, while it's draining, because it does have a very slight, like 2% grade on it, which is minimum is about 1/8 of an inch per foot, which is about 1%. So it's a 1 degree where it's reading, it reads degrees, but very slight drop. And so, like I said, minimum pitch on these is really slight, so it can be like this, where as long as I can see this, we want to make sure that, you know, if there's a little bit of a low spot there, it doesn't take much, like I said, to cover the camera. So what I may have to do is from the 90-foot mark, I may end up having to just put a, so I can see flashes, so it's not very deep. So it's not a major defect or anything, but we want to make sure that we can see the pipe in those areas above the water line. So you can see it's actually still moving. So I'll just pull back. We'll put a standoff on the camera. We'll make a second pass, and that way we can see from, looks like 70 to 90 feet. There's a little belly. Like I said, it's not a defect. The line's still draining, but it's just holding enough water from running that water that it's, you know, a ½ inch of water in a 6-inch diameter pipe is not anything to worry about. Pipe just settled a hair when they installed it. Just as a comparison, you have low spots, and you can actually have big traps in every one of your fixtures that the water flows through. As long as the water can sit in there, but as long as you have the downstream side is lower than the upstream side, then like a siphon, it can overtake a lot, and it'll continue on down without a problem, without obstructing flow. And so that was the only part, man. It was like probably close to from like 80 to 90 feet, just had a little bit of a low spot, but we still want to go back through there and make sure that we can see above the water line in that area, just to try to be sure that I don't believe there's anything in that area. Just you want to be able to see, so you can tell. Shape the pipes in that short distance. So all the parts we've seen, the line is in great shape, no defects at all. So I'm going to, again, I'm just going to pause the video here. I'm going to add a standoff to the camera, and we'll make a second pass real quick so we can make sure we check that 10 feet of pipe there down towards the end. Okay. So, we've got a little standoff on the camera now. We're going to go right through. Downstream. Camera will be a little bit higher, but mainly we can go through this stuff pretty quickly. Get back down to that 70-foot mark. At least get down to the bottom of the drop off. Here at the bottom. Right around in here. Yeah. There we go. So obviously as we push, we create a wave that makes it even higher. Good news is too, this is off the property. But we can see the pipe and there's no damage to the pipe, it's just a low spot. Not obstructing flow at all. Just holding a little bit of water, everything is flowing fine. No solid buildup in the area, anything like that. So you have about 92 feet. See the whole way. Looks like it's probably from about 84 to 92. We can see above it the whole way. And so it's about a little more than an inch of water in a 6-inch pipe. The angle's weird, but that camera lens is still only about an inch off the bottom, inch and a half maybe. I think it's roughly an inch. Because it makes the ball basically 2 inches in diameter. And so the good news is there's really no problem at all. I will go ahead and mark that there's a belly from 84 to 92 feet. It is off the property. It's close enough to the manhole, which that's under the street. And so if there is an issue, if that ever does become an issue, then it's off the property and the responsibility of SD1. In fact, there should be somebody close because the treatment plant's right over there. So I am going to call it out just because it's holding a little bit of water, but it's not an issue. It's basically something that I need to make a note of, just for future reference for you.
the line looked great. Again, you have that very, very minor, short low spot, or belly, what they call it. And it is, obviously that's just normally we wouldn't even call it out, but because of the situation, I will at least make a note of it on the report. From about 84 feet out to the 92-foot mark on the video. That is off the property. It is in the street, and so again, if it ever worsens or anything, which most likely that sunk when the developer put in the sewer main and ran the line across the street before they developed the land and put the street in and all that. When they were running that, it probably when they backfilled over it, it's probably 10 feet deep or more. There's a small section there that just settled a little bit. It's not obstructing flow at all. It's not holding any solids. It's not an issue. Like I mentioned before, they use traps, the low spots, as long as the other side, especially the size of the settle, the size of that settlement is very small. It's not very deep, and so there's no indications at all of any issues. It's open and flowing at time of inspection, but that will be written on the report just as a, just for note for future reference. Even if you sell the house or something in the future, you can at least have that knowledge. But the rest of the line is as good as it can be. Again, everything's open, free-flowing, and functioning well. So that'll end the inspection at 2825 Deerfield Drive in Villa Hills, Kentucky.